This story is not for the faint of heart. Fear is a part of you. There's no turning back. The nightmare has begun. It was a Friday night when Ryan and his friends, Naomi, Olivia, and Derek, decided to do something different. They had all spent the better part of their 20s glued to their phones, scrolling endlessly through social media, finding joy in meaningless interactions. But tonight, they wanted to try something that seemed too bizarre to be true. A game, a challenge, something that could satisfy their craving for excitement. "Guys, check this out," Naomi said, eyes wide with an unnatural glint. She was always the instigator, the one who pushed boundaries. Ryan leaned over her shoulder, trying to catch a glimpse of what she was showing. "What is it? Some sort of app?" "It's called the Black Box," Naomi explained, her fingers moving quickly over her phone screen. "It's a mystery app. You complete tasks, and if you do everything right, you get a reward." "What kind of reward?" Derek asked, raising an eyebrow. "Don't know yet. It's all secretive. Says the more you play, the more it reveals. They say it messes with your head." Ryan frowned, unsure. "Sounds sketchy. It's probably just some weird app collecting data." "I'm down for it," Olivia chimed in, her voice filled with excitement. "What's the worst that could happen?" There was something unsettling in her tone, but Ryan couldn't pinpoint what it was. They had all seen their fair share of strange apps, but nothing quite like this one. The promise of a secretive reward was too tempting to resist. "Let's do it," Ryan agreed, still unsure but intrigued. They each downloaded the black box onto their phones and registered. The interface was dark, almost sinister, with a black background and minimal text. The opening message was straightforward. "Welcome to the box. Complete the tasks. Unlock the mystery." A task immediately popped up on their screens. Task 1. Find object in your room that doesn't belong. Take a picture of it and upload it here. They exchanged looks, unease creeping in. Derek chuckled nervously. "What is this? Some twisted scavenger hunt?" Olivia, a bit more intrigued, began looking around the room. "Let's just do it. It's a joke, right?" But as each of them started scanning the room, a strange feeling gnawed at them. Naomi's eyes scanned the walls, her gaze locking on an old, unused lamp in the corner. It was off, collecting dust. "This is it. This doesn't belong here," she muttered. She took a photo of it and uploaded it. The app instantly responded. "Congratulations. Task completed. Task 2. Acknowledge your deepest fear. Write it down and send it." The air grew thick with silence. Ryan felt a strange chill, but Olivia was already typing. "Okay, this is getting weird," Derek said, but Naomi was already typing furiously, her eyes glued to the screen. "I don't like this," Ryan said, pushing his phone away. "We shouldn't keep going." But Naomi had already hit send. As soon as she did, the phone screens all flashed black for a split second. Then came the message, "You're in now. Welcome to the black box." Ryan felt his heart race. Naomi's smile faded, her fingers trembling as she read the next prompt. "You cannot leave until it is finished." The words hung in the air, heavier than before. The fun was over. Something had shifted. It wasn't just a game anymore. The room felt smaller, the air thinner. The app had more control than any of them could have imagined. And then, in a whispering voice from their phones, they heard it. "Now, the real challenge begins." Ryan's phone buzzed again with the next task. He stared at it, unwilling to believe what he was seeing. But it was too late. They were already in it, and there was no way out. The air in the room grew heavier as Naomi, Olivia, Derek, and Ryan stared at their phones. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the occasional sound of someone shifting uneasily. Naomi was the first to speak, her voice low and tense. "What is this? What's happening to us?" Ryan clenched his fists, trying to push the rising panic back. "This isn't a joke anymore. This app, this isn't just some game. It's messing with us." Olivia, however, laughed nervously. "It's just an app, Ryan. Let's finish it. It's probably nothing." But Naomi's eyes darted from her phone to the others. "Something feels wrong. This is too much." Suddenly the phone buzzed again. The new task appeared on the screen. Task 3. Find the object from your past. Send a picture. Ryan froze, his heart racing. He glanced at the others, unsure of what to do. His mind was already spiraling. What does this mean? The others were just as confused. Derek muttered, "Find something from our past. What kind of game is this?" Ryan's eyes flickered to a shelf on the far side of the room, where a photo of him and his sister sat, framed. It was from before everything fell apart, the time when life felt normal. He hadn't touched it in years. He felt a sharp pang of guilt, but his hand reached for it anyway. Naomi noticed and walked over. "Ryan, what is that?" He didn't know how to answer. His sister, he hadn't even thought about her in so long. He never talked about her. He never talked about the accident. The pain of that day was still too raw. His sister had died in a car crash when he was 16, and that photo was all that remained of her. His fingers shook as he placed it back on the shelf. The air felt thick. The past had come crashing back. This isn't just a game," Ryan muttered, his voice shaky. Naomi nodded slowly, her face pale. "We need to stop this. This app knows too much." But Olivia didn't seem as afraid. She picked up her phone, a nervous smile on her face. "It's just a game, guys. Let's finish it. It'll be over soon." Ryan couldn't shake the dread settling in his chest. His mind raced. What happens if we don't finish? Before he could voice his concerns, his phone buzzed again. The new message made his blood run cold. "You can't run from the past. It's already too late." Ryan's pulse quickened. He couldn't stop staring at the screen. How does it know? His throat felt dry. Derek stood up, looking around the room nervously. "What is this? This isn't just some app. It feels wrong." The others were silent, their eyes glued to their phones. Naomi's face was a mix of fear and confusion. "This can't be happening. We need to stop." Ryan's phone buzzed once more. The message was simple, but it felt like a command. Task 4. Name the one thing you've never told anyone. Send it. A cold shiver ran down Ryan's spine. His mind reeled. What did the app want from them? What would happen if they didn't do what it asked? Naomi placed her phone down, her expression hardening. This isn't a game anymore. It's something else. But Olivia was already typing, her fingers moving quickly. We have to finish this. It's the only way. Ryan stared at his phone, the weight of the task pressing down on him. He had secrets, things he'd buried deep within himself, things he'd never told anyone. The app was getting too close. It knew too much. And now there was no escape. The phone buzzed again, sharp and jarring. Ryan's pulse quickened as he stared at the screen. The task was different this time. Task 5. Take a photo of your reflection. Show the world what's inside. Ryan froze. Reflection? What does that mean? Olivia spoke first, her voice shaky. What the hell does this even mean? A photo of my reflection? Her laugh was thin, nervous. Ryan glanced at the bathroom door. He didn't want to, but something inside him urged him to see for himself. It's just a photo. It's just an app. But it felt wrong. Naomi's voice broke through his thoughts. We don't have to do this, Ryan. It's just a game. But Ryan was already moving. He didn't want to, but his feet carried him toward the bathroom, almost against his will. The others followed silently. The bathroom door creaked as he opened it. Inside, the mirror loomed. The fluorescent light above flickered, casting a pale, sickly glow. Ryan approached it, his phone in hand, fingers trembling. He raised the phone, looking into the mirror. His face was there, but something wasn't right. His eyes were hollow, his skin sickly pale. His reflection smiled, but Ryan didn't. His mouth didn't move, yet the grin in the mirror stretched wider. A chill ran through him. His hand shook as he snapped the photo. The app processed it slowly, the seconds stretching into eternity. He wanted to delete it, to escape, but the phone buzzed again. Send the photo to someone you trust. No, Ryan whispered. He didn't want to. He didn't want anyone to see that thing in the mirror. Before he could think, Olivia called out, Ryan, what's taking so long? Ryan snapped out of his trance. He turned to face her, but the fear in her eyes only made the dread in his chest grow. He couldn't say anything. He was too scared to speak. Then his phone buzzed once more. This time, it wasn't a task. It was a message. You're not alone. Ryan's blood ran cold. The words weren't just directed at him. They felt like they were meant for everyone. The app wasn't a game anymore. It was real. His reflection in the mirror twisted, the grin widening, stretching impossibly. Ryan felt a wave of nausea. He had to get out of here. But his phone buzzed again. Task 6. Destroy the object you cherish most. Ryan's breath caught. What the hell? The app knew too much. It was manipulating them, forcing them to do things they didn't want to. His mind raced, panic setting in. He couldn't destroy something he cared about. But deep down, he knew he had no choice. Turning back to Naomi and Derek, his voice barely a whisper, Ryan said, We can't stop it. It's already in our heads. Naomi's eyes were wide, but she didn't speak. She looked at him, terrified. She knew. They all knew this wasn't just a game anymore. The app's grip tightened, and there was no escape. Ryan's hands trembled as the phone buzzed again. Task 6. Destroy the object you cherish most. The words hit him like a punch to the gut. He could feel his breath quicken. Naomi's voice quivered. We can't let it control us, Ryan. This has gone too far. But Ryan couldn't move. He stared at his phone, the grip of the app tightening on his chest. The room felt stifling, like the walls were closing in. He needed to escape, but the task was clear. The phone buzzed again. Task 7. Call the person you trust most. Tell them everything. No lies. Ryan's pulse raced. Who could he trust now? Naomi? Derek? Olivia? Was it even possible to trust anyone anymore? Derek stepped forward, his voice calm but tinged with fear. We have to break free from this. We can't keep playing its game. But Ryan didn't reply. He was lost, trapped between the fear and the app's commands. His mind swirled with questions. What does the app want from us? The phone buzzed once more. This time it wasn't a task. It was a message. You're already dead. Ryan's blood ran cold. His hands shook uncontrollably. The others looked at him, their faces filled with confusion and dread. "What does it mean?" Olivia whispered. Ryan didn't know how to answer. The message didn't make sense, but deep down, he felt it. It was a warning, and it was too late. They moved through the quiet halls, the air thick with tension. Ryan felt as if the world around him had shifted, become a hollow version of itself. Every step echoed, a constant reminder that they were not alone. As they stepped outside, the eerie silence of the world hit them. The car sat parked, lifeless under the dim streetlights. The entire town felt deserted, as if it had been swallowed whole. Ryan's phone rang, an unknown number. His heart raced as he answered. "Hello?" His voice was barely a whisper. The distorted voice on the other end sent chills down his spine. "You're next." The call ended abruptly. Ryan's hands shook as he looked at the phone. The screen lit up once more with the final task. Task 8. Kill the last person you trust. Ryan froze. The words burned into his mind, searing into his thoughts. The app was no longer playing. It was making demands. It wanted everything. It wanted them to destroy what was left to themselves. He turned to look at Naomi, Derek, and Olivia. They were all holding their phones, faces pale with fear. The task was clear for all of them. Destroy the last person they trusted. Naomi's voice trembled. "We can't do this. It's just a game. We don't have to..." But Ryan's eyes fell on Derek. The app's words echoed in his head. "Kill the last person you trust." A knot formed in his stomach. He couldn't think. His heart raced. The world felt like it was crumbling. Naomi's eyes were wide, pleading with him. But Ryan didn't know what to do. The app had taken control. The task was simple, but the implications were unfathomable. Kill the last person you trust. Ryan's phone buzzed again, the words flashing across the screen like a death sentence. His hands clenched around it, knuckles turning white. His heart raced. Could it be real? Could they actually be forced to kill each other? Naomi's voice broke through his spiraling thoughts. "We have to fight it. We have to find a way out." Ryan looked at her, but his mind was elsewhere. The room felt like it was closing in on him, suffocating him. The task had shattered the last shred of normalcy. Was it really the app controlling them, or had they all lost their minds? He glanced at Derek and Olivia. Their faces were blank, eyes vacant. The fear was there, yes, but beneath it, was it guilt? Were they all just as lost as him? Derek finally spoke, his voice low and shaky. "We're not going to kill each other. We just need to get rid of the phones, throw them away. That's how we stop this." But Ryan knew it wasn't that simple. They couldn't just get rid of the phones and expect everything to go back to normal. The app was in their heads now, manipulating every thought, every action. The app had already broken them. Ryan felt the weight of it all. Kill someone you trust. His eyes met Naomi's, then Derek's. Could they even look at each other anymore? Were they still human? Or had they become puppets of the app? His phone buzzed again, but this time it wasn't a task. It was a notification, a countdown. 10 minutes until the task becomes irreversible. The air around him felt colder. Time was running out. They didn't have much longer before the app would force them to follow through. Ryan's mind raced, searching for a way out. But no matter how hard he tried to think, there was nothing. They were trapped in a game that had no rules, no mercy. The group stood in silence, staring at their phones, knowing that at any moment they would be forced to act. The tension in the room was palpable. Every second that passed felt like an eternity. The app had turned them against each other, making them question everything they had once believed. Naomi's voice trembled. What if we don't do anything? What if we just let it run its course? Ryan turned to her, fear in his eyes. What if we're already too far gone? He didn't want to believe it, but the app was winning. It was slowly breaking them down, turning them into monsters. They weren't people anymore. They were just pieces in a game they couldn't escape. As the countdown ticked closer, Ryan felt a sudden surge of anger. Anger at the app, anger at himself, anger at everything that had brought them here. But most of all, he felt anger at the world for letting them fall so far. The phone buzzed again, louder this time. A final notification. 5 minutes remaining. Ryan's hands were slick with sweat. His chest tightened as the weight of the task pressed down on him. He could feel the app's grip tightening around him, suffocating him, controlling him. Naomi looked at him, her eyes filled with tears. I don't want to do this, Ryan. Please. But there was no answer. The app had already taken its toll. It didn't matter what they wanted. The only thing that mattered now was survival. And that meant doing whatever it took to get out of this game. Ryan's heart pounded in his chest as the final countdown ticked away. 4 minutes. The room was silent except for the faint hum of the phone in his hand, its screen glowing brightly in the dark. He could feel the app pushing him, urging him to make a decision. The weight of it all, of the impossible choice that loomed over him, pressed down like a physical force. Naomi was standing beside him, her eyes wide with fear, her hands trembling. Derek and Olivia were frozen, their gazes locked on their phones as if willing the app to disappear. But it didn't. The clock kept ticking. The pressure kept building. Ryan, Naomi whispered, her voice breaking through his thoughts. We can't do this. Please, we don't have to. We don't have a choice, Ryan cut in, his voice low and strained. The app will make us do it. It's going to force us. Derek's eyes met his, dark and full of regret. We're not killers, Ryan. We can fight this. Ryan shook his head, his thoughts swirling in chaos. He wanted to believe Derek. He wanted to believe that there was a way out, that they could break free from the app's grip. But deep down, he knew the truth. The app had already broken them. It had already manipulated their every move. It wasn't just controlling them physically. It was in their minds, their hearts. The phone buzzed again. A new notification. 3 minutes remaining. The words flashed across the screen, each one like a knife digging deeper into Ryan's psyche. He could feel the app inside him now, its influence spreading like a disease. He could no longer think clearly. The only thing that mattered now was survival. And if that meant turning against the people he trusted, then so be it. Ryan, Naomi's voice wavered. We have to stick together. Please, we can't. But Ryan couldn't listen anymore. The decision was already made for him. It was in his blood now, in his very soul. He had to do it. He had to survive. The phone buzzed again. Task 9. Kill them before they kill you. Ryan's pulse spiked. His breath came in shallow gasps. The app had crossed the line. It wasn't just manipulating their actions anymore. It was trying to tear them apart, make them destroy everything they had left. Naomi's voice cut through his panic. Ryan, please. I don't want to die. I don't want to do this. Tears welled up in her eyes, but Ryan could barely see them. All he could see was the task on the screen, the cold, unfeeling words that had taken away his humanity. Kill them before they kill you. It was a warning. The app wasn't giving them a choice. They had to act, or they would die. And in that moment, Ryan realized the truth. He wasn't just fighting the app. He was fighting himself. Olivia's voice suddenly broke the silence, sharp and panicked. "We need to get rid of the phones. We have to destroy them." But Ryan didn't respond. His eyes were fixed on Naomi, her face contorted with fear and desperation. He didn't want to do this. He didn't want to hurt her. But the app was making him. The countdown ticked down to 1 minute. "Ryan," Naomi whispered, her voice trembling, "please don't do this." Ryan didn't know if he was hearing her voice or the app's, but the weight of the choice pressed harder, and he felt himself losing control. His fingers hovered over his phone, as if it had a will of its own. Naomi stepped forward, her hand reaching out to him. "Please, Ryan, don't listen to it." But the app's grip was too strong. Ryan's vision blurred, and the task felt like it was everything. It was the only thing that mattered now. "You must kill before the time runs out." The words pulsed in his head. There was no more time. The decision had to be made. Ryan's finger hovered above the screen. His breath was shallow, his heart hammering in his chest. The countdown had reached 0. It was too late to back out. The app had won. There was no escape now. His mind was a storm of conflicting thoughts, desperation, fear, and a chilling, nagging feeling that something even worse was coming. The phone buzzed again, a sharp, mechanical vibration that sent a jolt through his body. Task 10 flashed across the screen. "You have 1 minute to decide. Kill the person closest to you." Ryan's eyes darted from Naomi to Derek to Olivia. Their faces were pale, stricken with terror, but all he could think about was the app's command. "Kill the person closest to you." He looked at Naomi first. She was shaking, tears streaming down her face. She had always been there for him, always. Her trust, her love. She was the last person he wanted to hurt. But the app was forcing him. He could feel its cold presence inside him, its whisper in the back of his mind urging him to obey. Then he looked at Derek, his friend, the one person who had stood by him since the beginning. But there was something in Derek's eyes now, something distant, something foreign. Had Derek already given up? Had he fallen under the app's control too? Ryan's mind was unraveling. He couldn't think straight. He couldn't breathe. The app had already taken everything from him. The guilt, the fear, the anger, it was all merging into one unbearable wave of emotion. The task, the countdown, the decision. And then there was Olivia. Her face was expressionless, but Ryan could see the fear in her eyes. She wasn't the one who spoke the loudest, but she was always watching, always calculating. She was smart, resourceful. But was she capable of doing whatever it took to survive? Did any of them even know anymore? The phone buzzed again. 30 seconds remaining. Choose now. Ryan's hand shook. His vision blurred, the room around him fading into the background. He couldn't think anymore. He wasn't himself. He wasn't even sure if anyone was anymore. They were all just pawns in this twisted game, forced to play out their worst nightmares. He could feel his body moving of its own accord, his fingers swiping across the screen, navigating through the options. But none of them felt right. It didn't matter who he chose. The app would make him feel responsible. It would make him feel the weight of every life he took. Ryan closed his eyes, trying to block out the noise, trying to block out the app's demands. But they were impossible to ignore. The whispers, the pressure. His hands reached out, and in that moment, he realized he wasn't just fighting for survival. He was fighting for his humanity. 10 seconds remaining. Naomi's voice cracked through the tension, barely a whisper. "Ryan, please, I don't want to die." Ryan could hear the desperation in her voice. He didn't want to do this. He didn't want to be the one to make this choice. But the app had stripped away their humanity. It had turned them into monsters. 5 seconds remaining. Ryan's finger hovered once more, ready to make the decision. The task was clear, but the consequences, they were anything but. He couldn't move. He couldn't breathe. The app had done its work. It had broken them. And now it was too late to turn back. Ryan's finger lingered above the screen, trembling, as the app's countdown ticked its final seconds. 5 seconds remaining. His breath hitched in his throat. It wasn't just the weight of the decision. It was the realization that they were trapped in something far worse than a game. This was survival. This was death. His eyes flicked toward Naomi, her body shaking as she fell to her knees, her voice a desperate whisper. "Ryan, please, don't let it make you do this. We're better than this." But were they? Was he? Ryan's entire world had been turned upside down in the last few hours. The app had stripped them of their identities, their humanity. They weren't the people they had been. They were puppets on strings, each one of them forced into a deadly dance. The countdown continued. 4 seconds remaining. Ryan's eyes blurred with tears. He couldn't do it. He couldn't choose. Naomi had been his rock. Derek, his brother in arms. Olivia, always calculating, always watching. The app had made them distrust each other, made them hate themselves. And now, it wanted them to kill. But which one? Who would he choose? Who would he betray? The app had already decided. The game wasn't about who he could trust. It was about breaking them down to their lowest point and seeing how far they would go to survive. Ryan. No. Naomi's voice cracked. She had seen the shift in him, had seen the darkness in his eyes. 2 seconds remaining. Ryan's finger hovered. He could hear the sound of his heartbeat in his ears, a deafening drum that threatened to drown everything else out. The fear in Naomi's eyes was too much. He couldn't take it. He couldn't live with the guilt. But then again, what choice did he have? The app had already claimed so much from him. His mind, his trust, his will. The timer flicked to 1 second remaining. Ryan's mind was breaking. His body was trembling with the weight of what he knew he had to do. His finger touched the screen. A single swipe. A cold decision that would seal their fate. Task complete. The words appeared, cold and final, across the screen. Ryan's hand fell to his side, his body collapsing against the wall. He was panting, his breath ragged, his chest tight. There was no victory here, no relief, only emptiness. The app was silent. It didn't need to say anything more. Naomi let out a strangled cry, her face pale, her eyes filled with horror. Derek and Olivia stood frozen, as if the weight of what had just happened hadn't fully settled. Ryan couldn't move. He couldn't speak. The room was suffocating, the air thick with the crushing silence of their shared trauma. The app had taken everything, and they were still here, alive but broken. Naomi was the first to speak. her voice shaking. What now? What do we do now? Ryan wanted to answer. He wanted to tell her that they would escape this, that they could find a way out. But the truth was clear. The app had already won. They had lost, not just their lives, but their souls. In the stillness, the phone buzzed again. Congratulations. You have completed the game. You are free to go. Ryan stared at the words in disbelief. The game was over. They had survived. But at what cost? He looked at Naomi, at Derek, at Olivia. They were still standing, still breathing, but they were all different. The innocence was gone. The trust was shattered. And in that moment, Ryan realized that the app hadn't just been playing a game. It had been testing them, pushing them to their limits. And in the end, they had crossed a line they could never uncross. Freedom. But what was freedom if it meant living with what they had become? The silence hung heavy in the air. Ryan never saw the app again. It vanished from their lives as quickly as it had come, leaving only the scars.